reinforcement learning agent and goal of every action and goal of every transition is to maximize the reward. Right? The agent can therefore choose any action as a function of its history, as a function of how it performed when it took this action in the previous iteration, which is nothing but a Markov decision process where each process is dependent upon the previous decision or previous state. Therefore, reinforcement learning may be well suited to problems that include a long-term versus a short-term trade-off. So what do you eye? What does your agent eye? Does it eye or does it look for short-term rewards? Or is it looking for long-term reward? That is, what is this action going to yield after 5 iterations? Fine. What is it going to yield after 5 iterations? For that, I may have to incur some penalty in the first and the second iteration. So we apply the reinforcement learning models particularly to problems that include this trade-off of long-term versus short-term trade-off. Fine. So what are these reinforcement learning algorithms, the types that we have at hand? Typically, we have 3 approaches to implementing a reinforcement learning algorithm. These are value-based, these are policy-based, and these are model-based reinforcement learning algorithms. Now, the value-based reinforcement learning models, you should try to maximize a value function. There is a value function, say Vs, and you have to try to maximize that value function. Here, the agent is expecting the long-term return of the current states. Okay, whatever the current states are, the agent is expecting a long-term benefit or a long-term value of it. In policy-based reinforcement learning method, you try to come up with such a policy that the action performed in every step helps you to gain maximum reward in the future. In this case, we have 2 approaches. Either we follow this policy-based approach deterministically, or we can do it stochastically. If we try to follow deterministic policy-based method, then for any state, the same action is produced by the policy P. If we have a policy P, for any state, the same action is produced. If we try to move stochastically, then every action has a certain probability associated with it. Right? I may go left, but I may go right. So there is a probability associated with moving to right or moving to left. So it is not totally deterministic. In model-based approach, though, you need to create a virtual model for each environment. The agent learns to perform that specific task only when it is fed with a virtual environment. Say, if I move left, what is going to happen then? If I move right, what is going to happen then? If I move up, what is... So we have to create virtual environment at every step for the model to be able to take the right decision. For example, let us say we are playing the game of Pac-Man, where the goal of the agent or the Pac-Man is to eat food in the grid that is present in the grid while avoiding the ghosts on its way. Now, what is this grid? This grid world is an interactive environment for the agent. And this agent receives a reward for eating the food and punishment if it gets killed by the ghost. Okay. The states are basically the location of Pac-Man in the grid world. It's a say 4x4 grid. So every cell is one state of the Pac-Man. And the total cumulative reward is Pac-Man winning the game. Now, in order to build an optimal policy, the agent faces dilemma of exploring the new states while maximizing its rewards at the same time. It has to explore the new states also, because any of the cell can have food. So it has to go to every cell, it has to explore the space. But while moving to the next cell, by moving to the next location in the grid, it has to maximize its reward. This is called exploration versus exploitation trade-off that we were talking about in the beginning. Fine. One very popular machine learning, this reinforcement learning algorithm is Q-learning model, okay, which has this particular rule of updation. It is commonly used for a model-free approach where there is no mathematical equation or model that we can put for learning, and it is a total stochastic model which can be used for building a self-playing Pac-Man agent. And basically, Q-learning would revolve around the notion of updating the Q values, which denote values of doing action A in state S. The value update rule is basically the core of the Q-learning algorithm. So how we update the value, and it has no model associated with it. It is basically a model-free approach. Now, some of the reinforcement learning algorithms, as we discussed, is Q-learning. Besides that, we have the SARSA algo. Both Q and SARSA, basically SARSA is the state, action, reward, state, action. So state, action, reward, and then state, and then action. So basically both Q and SARSA are commonly used for model-free. Wherever we have the problem at hand, we are going to solve it through model-free approach, we can use Q-learning and SARSA learning. Both of them, they differ in terms of their exploration strategy. While exploiting, both of them are going to behave the same. The exploitation module of both the algos is the same, whereas the exploration module is slightly different. While Q-learning is an off-policy method in which the agent learns the value based on action derived from another policy, while SARSA is an on-policy method. On-policy method is where it can learn the value based on its current location derived from its current policy. So it was based on the previous policy, and it is SARSA will on policy method using it. The current action is derived from the current policy. So these two methods are simple to implement basically, but the problem with both the Q-learning and SARSA is that they lack generality. If we design Q or SARSA for one problem, we may not be able to export it or apply it as it is to the next problem. So they lack generality basically, as they do not have the ability to estimate values for unseen states. So we feed them the virtual environment. Once we feed them the virtual environment for one particular problem, so they lose their generality. So that is the problem with these two. Then besides this, we have certain advanced reinforcement learning algorithms such as deep Q networks, which are neural networks to estimate the Q values. So how do we determine the Q values? Like here we discussed, this is how we determine the Q values. Now to determine the Q value here in deep Q networks, we use neural networks. But deep Q networks can only handle discrete low dimensional action spaces. So once the problem is continuous in nature, once the states are continuous in nature and we do not have discrete states, and the data is high dimensional, we can't use deep Q neural networks. Then there are deep deterministic policy gradients or DDPG networks. So deep deterministic policy gradient, again it is a model-free approach. Off policy, like Q networks, it is off policy. And that tackles the problem by learning policies in high dimensional continuous action space. So as opposed to deep Q networks, the DDPG networks, they can tackle continuous action spaces and high dimensional action spaces as well. A little about ellipson greedy algo. Now if this is the source from where this problem has been picked, you can visit this site and analyticsvidya.com, and you can just look at this problem if you wish to. Basically, this is a representation of the shortest path problem. The task is to go from place A to place F with as low cost as possible. The number at each edge between these two places, such as A and B, B and C, they represent the cost taken to traverse the distance. The negative costs are actually some earnings on the way. We define value as the total cumulative reward when you do a policy. Here the set of states or the nodes are A, B, C, D, E, and F, as we can all see. The action to take is to go from one place to another. For example, from A to B, from C to D, and so on. The reward is the value present on the edge, that is the cost. say 20, 15, minus 20. So this is the reward. The policy is the way to complete the task. The policy is we can't go from A to E, but we can go from A to C, from C to F. So this is the policy. Now suppose you are at place A. The only visible path is your next destination, and anything beyond that is not known at this stage. Okay, so from A you can either go to B, either go to D, or C or E. You can't see F. Right? You can take a greedy approach. Simply you can take a greedy approach and take the best possible next step, which is obviously in this example going from A to D because it has the least value. Okay, it will incur least value, rather it will give you a negative value. So it can go from A to D, that is minus 20, and from here to this minus 100. So your value in going from A to D and D to F is minus 20, minus 120. You have just implemented, talking here, a reinforcement learning algorithm. This is known as a Lipson epsilon greedy algorithm, which is nothing, basically we all have done it. It's basically a greedy approach to solve a problem. We all have done it in DA and in some other algorithm courses. So what are the limitations of reinforcement learning? It requires a basically lot of data, and since it requires lot of data, therefore it is most applicable in domains where simulated data is readily available for training. For example, game playing, robotics. Again, the main challenge is preparing the simulation environment, which is highly dependent on the task to be performed. When the model has to go, say, beat a chess champion, for example, preparing the simulation environment is relatively simple. When it comes to building a model capable of, for example, say, driving an autonomous car, building a realistic simulator is crucial before letting the car ride on the streets, because it may cost lives. The model has to figure out how to brake or avoid a collision in safe environment, where sacrificing even 1,000 cars come at a minimal cost. Transferring the model out of the training environment and onto the real world is where the things get tricky. So that remains one of the major challenges of reinforcement learning. And the third limitation might be scaling and tweaking the neural network controlling the agent. There is no way to communicate with the network other than through the system of rewards and penalties, basically. This in particular may lead to state where acquiring new knowledge causes some of the old to be erased from the network. So this forgetting may be very, very costly. It may turn out to be very costly. So we can't afford to forget the states which we have previously already learned. So this was all about reinforcement learning. For queries, you can mail me, and or you can put up your queries in WhatsApp. For the next class, stay tuned. We'll meet for ensemble learning in the next class. Thank you.